ladies, gentle ladies, men and gentlemen. It is currently 10:30 p.m. on Friday, February the 21st. That means this episode will be over at 11:30 p.m. on Friday, February the 21st. Today was awesome. I woke up, went back to bed, and then got up 30 minutes before my shift, went to my shift, finished my shift. Now I'm here. So, basically, what are we going to talk about for the entirety of the episode? I have no idea. I mean, did I even take my thing? I might have not even taken them inside. But at work today, I did get 2 pieces of paper laminated. And that's exciting because that's going to be my daily to-do list. It's like a holdable whiteboard, basically. And did I leave them at work? No, I couldn't have. What did I do? Oh. They're right here, but I think that I left the marker or something. I'm not sure. Maybe it's in my car still. I didn't grab it. But look. If you can hear that. I laminated 2 because I thought, well, all right, so if you remember, I think it was last episode we did this, and this is fantastic. This is what started as like a, well, let's tell the whole story, right? I guess the whole story starts at when I was born, so we can't tell the whole story. But we can say certain things. And to boil it down, I think what this represents to me in this moment is, this sucks. This really sucks because we have this piece of paper over here. This piece of paper was read 4 or 5 times 2 or 3 episodes ago. That episode is titled Paper of Doom. And I really had a bad time on that episode reading it. But, I mean, it felt good. And I'm really glad I had this episode. I mean, I have this platform to, release, the way that I feel. And I read it, and I remember thinking, I hate this. I hate reading it. I hate thinking about it. It's just so stupid. But, I think what I'm going to have to do here is actually give it some credit. This person does have their PhD, and they're also an HSP-P licensed psychologist. Whatever the hell that means. So, maybe we shouldn't ignore them entirely. And in this document, it is said that I am a perfectionist, and things either go exactly as I see them through to be, or I give up on them entirely. And I think that it's not I still want to hold on to the idea that I don't know, who knows what I'm saying. But now we have this, right? And this moment is a little bit of a reflection of that, because I made this. I typed it in the computer. I gave it an hour and a half of my life, and this is a complete restructuring and formatting of my day-to-day life. I just wanted to change everything about what I do every day, and because I wanted to change who I was, and I wanted to be perfect because I wasn't satisfied with where I was. But it didn't stick. I don't even think I made it. I don't think I did one full day of this routine. I remember the thoughts being I'll start it on Monday. Sunday can be a rough run, but I didn't. It just did not happen. So, and it's funny because I never cared about the day of the week. I'm not in school anymore. I just have work, and my schedule is just like, I just work like the closing shift 5 days out of the week, and those 5 days vary. So all I care about is if I work or not. I don't even know what day it is usually. So it's so funny that all of a sudden I'd be like, oh, okay, tomorrow's Monday. That would be a good day to start this. So maybe today can be like a rough run. Like what? How's Monday relevant at all? Anyway, moving forward. I think it was last episode, if not 2 episodes ago. I think it was last episode. I went through this. And I went. I called them chunks. I went chunk by chunk, and I rewrote everything. So I think at the time, what I thought was the best rewriting of a chunk is the very first one, and that is no recreational social media usage. That was what was originally written on February 9th. It is now February 21st. And I have used social media every single day since, recreationally. So to start, I would say I failed. I failed so far in that regard, and that's okay. It's okay to fail. But yesterday I rewrite it, right? Because this is important to me. I do want to get better, and I do want to improve, and I do want to become this version of myself that I want to. I just, this is just simply you and me, you being the camera, working towards this. So I rewrite it, and instead of the word no, I write avoid consuming social media. Because, this is interesting, because at the time I thought that was like profound. I thought like, I rewrote it, and I remember being like, I like the word avoid rather than no, because no is so strict, right? No is like, it's either yes or a no. Back to this piece of paper right here. Like perfectionism. And I think, that's okay. But it's like, the goal is to be able to tell someone I don't use social media. And I think the best way for me to get to that point is to just do my best to avoid it every day. If I'm on it, that's okay. But just I need to make sure I just be conscious of the fact that I want to, as I wrote in the rewrite, avoid consuming social media. And I think if I can do that day after day, if I can just give a little bit of myself towards avoid consuming social media, eventually I will feel like I can say to people, I don't use social media. I just create to it. I don't consume it. Next, we have one handwritten to-do list every day. This was exciting. That's why I have these two things. It just so happens that I work next door to FedEx, and FedEx has a lamination machine. So I think this marks a very big moment in my life, because this is the first time I've ever laminated anything, and I think that's just like very, I don't know, very worth noting, very worth. I don't know, like I have 2 pieces of paper that are laminated right now, and that's just what it be, what it do, what it is. You know what I'm saying? So I laminated these pieces of paper because this one can be my to-do list. And this one can be... So, look, I have this right here. Oh, my gosh. Really? It's too heavy. It doesn't even stay. Does it work if I go sideways? No. Okay, just barely it works if I go sideways. Bro, are you serious? Really? What if I go what if I use both of them? Oh, okay. Well, that like randomly. Okay, this sucks. I thought I was gonna be able to use that to hold these. I can find another solution. I'm sure. I mean, I can probably just do this. Yeah, I can literally just use the magnet. I can use the magnet. How funny is that? I can use the magnet, but not like the actual thing. Okay. Anyway, I have two of them, right? And on one of them, I can erase and rewrite every single day. It'll be like part of a ritual, right? Because I think that'd be good. I rewrote one handwritten to-do list every day as attempt a handwritten daily outline. I think outline is a little bit better than to-do list, right? Because if I write it on the to-do list, I mean, I think it's kind of actually pretty interchangeable. I used to do my to-do list like on a piece of paper. I'd write everything down and then I cut it out and then I could reorder it. And then, if I didn't accomplish one thing, it was cut out so I could just bring it over to the next day. But I could still do that with this. And I like this. So, what am I saying? I think it's really important that I do these episodes before work in the morning because right now I just want to I don't know, binge social media, eat food, and go to bed. Um, so am I allowed to just sit here and not say anything? I think so. I think honestly it's okay if I sit here and don't say anything. I was thinking today as I was taking the trash out at work, it's not too late. I'm still really young. I could go to college in New York City. Pace College, I think, has a manageable acceptance rate, you know? Like I could go there. I could. And I want to. There's a girl that comes to Jersey Mike's. She gets a 7 with no tomatoes, and I've memorized her order. And now when she comes in, I say her order to her to make sure she wants what she usually gets. And she says, "Yep," and smiles. And I think she has a really nice smile. My roommate and best friend, Sam, lent me his girlfriend's gloves. And she got those gloves from her dad, so they were very sentimental. He lent them to me because I was taking a trip to New York City for the weekend, and it was going to be freezing and snowing. So I took the gloves, and of course, you know me, I lost one, and I only came home with one glove. A month passed, almost 2 months, and Sam finally asked me last night, "Hey, do you have those gloves?" I had to tell him that I lost them, that I lost one of them in New York, and I only had one. And I feel really bad about that. feel very, very bad about that. Um, I still think about my ex-girlfriend, but I do think it's I do think it's starting to be less and less that I do. Part of me thinks like if I sit here in silence for the entirety of the episode, it's a bad episode. But then the other part of me thinks that there's no such thing as a bad episode. There's only such thing as a episode or not a episode. Some part of me thinks about yesterday's episode. And yesterday when the hour was up, the whole hour flew by. I was so wrapped up in what I was talking about the whole time that it went so fast. And when it was all over, I was like, wow, that was easy and that felt great. And I feel like I just made something good. So how does this compare, I guess? Me sitting and not saying much? Well, I don't know. At work today, I thought back to a particular comment on Instagram. Two comments, kind of. And they're mean comments. I got kind of two or three of like my first like actually mean comments. And it's inevitable. And in a way, it's kind of what I'm asking for. Um, I see Instagram sort of as like a somewhere between 10 seconds and 3 minute stand-up comedy routine every day, right? Like, or just an act, a performance. Like each day I have this certain amount of time where I get up on stage and I perform. And I think that performing and being on stage is a passion of mine. And it's what draws me to the platform and to the activity and to all of it. But I'll be damned if sometimes it feels really hard to do it. That's part of it, and I think I like that. I like that it's hard. I don't. What am I trying to say here? I think what I'm trying to say is I didn't necessarily have to even read either one of those comments. As it stands right now, I'm very glued to like checking up on who's liking, who's commenting, how many interactions, views, shares my Instagram Reels get. And I think that's really unhealthy for me to be doing. Same on YouTube. Even though, YouTube is a different landscape. I don't think it's good for me to be checking the comments as frequently as I do. Because A, I usually don't get any. And that on its own is kind of a blow, because it's like I'm going and I'm speaking, but no one's even coming to my shows. So you can imagine, I mean, that's kind of like, that's not really necessarily easy to stomach in the first place. But then some days it's like maybe I fill a couple chairs way in the back and they don't even have anything nice to say, They're kind of like, yo, this is garbage. On Instagram, I got the skull emoji to something I made. And he could have just, that might not even be like hate or anything. I don't know. I just don't know the guy. I don't know the guy. And like, I feel like maybe he was like kind of thinking I'm like a clown, And then another guy commented that I don't know at all, but we have a lot of mutuals, I guess, and he's my age. See, that's the problem. Not only should I not have read his comment, but I, of course, like clicked on his account and like kind of like read his name a couple times. Like, do I know him? No, I don't. Do I? And we have a ton of mutuals and we're the same age, like mutual people that he follows that I follow. Like, I think that's how it works on Instagram. So look, we know people that we both know. And he said, nice work, nice job, or nice, something like that with an exclamation mark. And when I read it, it felt really sarcastic. Like, it just felt like I was being made fun of. And if it weren't for this, if it weren't for keeping it real and this camera, I would not ever speak about this. Because why would I ever, like, this would be something that I would literally never, ever, out of all the times my mouth opens each day, this would never come out any of those times to anyone. There's not a single person in my life that I would think or ever would be in any sort of scenario to be like, hey, can I tell you, like, someone, like, I got mean comments online, I think, or at least if they feel mean. I would never say that to anybody. But this is keeping it real. And sometimes keeping it real is hard. People don't realize. I certainly didn't realize. When I made the title, I mean, this started as something completely different. This started as, like, I had a friend who sat down I didn't even have this table when Keeping It Real started. It was a full-out card table that's now in the living room, janky. And it was a 45-minute, just, like, nervy episode where, like, we both knew that this was likely to be seen by lots of people. And, like, we both hadn't even seen one another in so long. We were good friends. And, like, I don't know. It's just certainly a lot different than what this is now. Now this is like, I've been thinking of it as therapy almost. And that's interesting because I guess what is therapy? My dad came to town and he set me up with a therapist. He really forced it. He didn't force it. He didn't force it. He didn't force it. But, like, he really insisted and said it would be really good if I started going to therapy. And he came with me for a couple times because I said, I'll go if you go. I've been in and out of therapy. And I've just never been a fan of it. Maybe I've never stuck with it long enough. Who knows? But I don't like the one person aspect. Like, I don't like how it's just me and one person. I would much prefer this. I would much prefer the possibility of thousands of people, even if it's true that not a single one of all the 20, like, this video will likely cap out around 30 views, as most of them do. And even though not a single one of you 30 people actually, like, sit down and listen to any of my words well enough, or even if none of you ever comment, or even if no one reaches out to me and, like, I don't know, like a therapist would, right? A good therapist in the first place doesn't say much of anything. They really just listen, and they lightly guide sometimes, but therapy isn't so much like working like a person, working on a person like a person would work on a car. It's more like someone just listening to a car's engine, if that makes sense, and just being there to listen. And even if none of you are actively listening to my engine hum, there is the possibility that of at least one of you, and at the exact same time, there's also the possibility of, I don't know, thousands of you, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of you listening to my car engine hum. And I choose that. I choose this. I choose these circumstances over me being in someone else's room with someone else who's got their PhDs on the wall and tons of other patients that they listen to, and they get paid for it, right? It's like a monetary thing. I don't, it's not like, that's not really what I like feel good doing. I mean, I can do it, and I feel like, sure, I feel good about it. Like, maybe it wouldn't make that much of a difference in the long run, like if I chose one over the other, but and you never know. Like, I was thinking about it today, and if you go to my YouTube channel and you click videos, if you're on a computer, this works best. You're going to get a grid. If you sort them by latest, in the top left corner, click the button that says latest. Not popular, not oldest. Actually, you can do oldest or latest. And you're going to see a grid, an array of all the thumbnails of my videos. And if you just scroll through all of them, if you start from oldest and you scroll to newest, or if you start from the latest and you scroll to the oldest, you'll see my life in like this weird view where every single day I put something out, I make something, right? I force myself to make something. And through the weeks, it really is weeks. It's not even really months. Through the weeks, you see like my life. You see like what each video ended up looking like in the form of a title and a thumbnail. At the very start, I think my very first video is me with the camera that's actually shooting this right now, the camera that I'm looking into. It's me holding that camera. You don't see me at all, but I'm on a pedestrian walkway. I'm on a level. What are they called? So you know how you have an escalator and it takes you up? Well, at the airport, you know, you have escalators that are in the ground that just improve your walking speed. And I was on one of those, and I was going across this big window that looked out onto the tarmac where planes were moving and such. And it was just that. It was just my camera with the planes zooming in and zooming out, and there's piano music in the background. That's all it is. And then the very next video, I think, is me in a button down with a tie. And that starts the first, like, sort of fixation, trend, I guess you could say. And it really does come back to this piece of paper where they say that I get really focused in one thing and let everything else go away. I don't know. Does it say that? Should we read it again? I saw jackkadis for neuropsychological testing on March of 2021. The following points are highlights from my testing. Jack has a strong cognitive profile with a full-scale IQ score of 128 on the WAIS-IV. Processing speed was an area of personal weakness, with his score falling to solidly average. Skills in reading, writing, and math were largely commensurate, with some mild disfluency noted. Direct testing of executive functioning was average or above. Despite overall strong performance in all areas of testing, there were some intradomain inconsistencies, which may be linked to underlying lapses in attention and slower processing speed. Parental report on interview and on CEFI and Connors was significant for clinical ratings of inattention, hyperactivity, executive dysfunction, and learning problems. Jack has always needed a high degree of activity to remain regulated. They report that Jack has continually struggled with following multi-step directions and completing tasks. Conversely, when he is interested in something, he exhibits more of a laser focus and can attend for long periods of time. As a youngster, he would sit and do entire Lego sets without needing a break or becoming distracted. Mr. and Mrs. Kadis asserted that when Jack was in elementary school, they did not have overt concerns around inattention. Instead, emotional regulation seemed to be more of an issue. Jack exhibited difficulty managing his anger and was quick to incite. He was a successful student up until 10th grade. He was able to maintain solid grades with little effort. His performance declined in the 10th grade, leading him to opt to take 3 of his 5 classes as pass-fail grades. Part of his decline in grades was likely due to the fact that more weight was put on assignments than had been in the past, and his tendency to forget or miss assignments then impeded his grade. The IB program was not a good fit for him, and he moved to take a mixture of AP and honors classes. Mr. and Mrs. Kadis arranged for Jack to work with a tutor to help with ACT preparation. This was challenging for Jack, as he was unmotivated to do the supplemental work that was required for the program. He had more trouble with test completion on the ACT than he has had historically with school-based tests. Jack's report on interview, as well as on the CEFI and Connors, was not significant. He denied any difficulties, and also denied anxiety and depression. When the idea of perfectionism was introduced, Jack began to identify with symptoms, but quickly retreated. He wants to maintain the impression that he is in control and that he is without difficulty. I do have a problem with that. How can you... Well, okay. This may be very true. Okay? This might be spot on. And honestly, let's just say, me being truthful, it's totally, completely true. I do want to maintain the impression that I'm in control and that I am without difficulty. That's important for me, for people to know that, I am me and I do things because me. But how can you say that or know that? Unless maybe I said that. I don't know, man. He is highly resistant to any outside support, including psychotherapy and organizational tutoring. Jack reported that his grades could be better and that he just finds himself to be lazy at times. Jack reported that he is interested in going to college, but does not have any concrete plans for such. He maintained that he would be happy going to any university, even if it was community college. At the time of testing, he was interested in tattooing and talked about obtaining a degree in business and finance so that he would be able to set up his own business. This is why I picked up this paper and read it, because this is what's relevant here. Mr. and Mrs. Kadis reported that it has been a long-standing pattern where Jack becomes hyper-focused in one area and then lets other aspects of his life falter. He tends to give maximum effort when he is interested in something. A recent example of this involved making decision to adopt a healthy lifestyle and exercise regularly so that he could be in the best shape possible for soccer. He was very focused on this plan and did give maximum effort to it. Once the soccer season started, however, he did not play in the first 2 games. He decided to quit the team. His reason for this was that he was simply not ready and still needed to improve. This is a specific example, but this pattern has been prevalent throughout Jack's life. He sets his mind on a specific plan, and when there is a deviation from it, even a slight one, he retreats or abandons the idea altogether. He likely operates in a chronic fight or flight state, and then utilizes the flight mechanism more often. At the time of this evaluation, Jack was highly focused on starting a job at a car wash. He was insistent on working 7 days a week for the maximum number of hours he could. It could not be something he did a few afternoons after school. My clinical impression surrounds generalized anxiety disorder, social anxiety, and some mild ADHD. Formal personality testing was not conducted as part of this evaluation, but I can add that on if you think it would be beneficial to help with diagnostic clarification. Please let me know if you have any questions. I have a question for the listener. So as generations come and go, it can be observed that there's a bit of a divide. I believe the minds of older people and younger people do not work the same. So when an older person and a younger person are put in such a situation as a parent and a child, it can be assumed that certain opinions will be brought when it comes to impressions made on either party by either party that are a result of age difference. When I see this piece of paper and I read generalized anxiety disorder, social anxiety, and some mild ADHD, I think, okay, that might be true. I might have all those diseases. But what exactly are we talking about here? I mean, what is this? And why does this exist? And I think a big reason that this exists is money. This person works a job and gets paid for that job. I don't know. I just don't think that there's anything wrong with me. I think that I'm about as normal as it comes. If anything, I'm lucky to be born into a family where money isn't really a problem. So it's if anything, I'm not normal. I'm #blessed. I'm gifted. I'm lucky is what I am. I think true normalcy would be a version of me that didn't have what I have. But this paper says otherwise. And I want to I just want to say that I don't think that there's much to this. I don't think that this piece of paper, this diagnosis, this examination, these reports and interviews are very solid. I think that in reality, they're actually flimsy. And I think this because I believe that I don't know. I guess I just don't believe in the importance. I don't believe in it. I often say how stupid it is for someone to be diagnosed with anxiety disorder or diagnosed with social anxiety or attention deficit hyper. What does ADHD stand for? Attention deficit hyper. I'd like to know what ADHD stands for, but I'm sure it's some. Let's look it up really fast. Can we? Please don't stop recording. Testing. 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's look it up very fast. What does ADHD stand for? Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder is a neurodevelopmental disorder characterized by symptoms of inattention, hyperactivity, impulsivity, and emotional dysregulation that are excessive and pervasive, impairing in multiple contexts, and developmentally inappropriate. What a way for that definition to end. I mean, when was ADHD invented? Become a diagnosis. ADHD officially became a recognized diagnosis in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, DSM, in 1968, where it was listed as hyperkinetic reaction of childhood in the second edition of DSM. Key points about the history of the ADHD diagnosis. 1968, the term hyperkinetic reaction of childhood was first used in the DSM-2 to describe what is now known as ADHD. 1980, the DSM-3 changed the name to Attention Deficit Disorder, ADD, with further distinctions between ADD and hyperactivity and ADD without hyperactivity. 1987, the name was officially changed to Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder, ADHD. Okay, so this is brand new, like less than a lifetime brand new. Other things that people went along with that at the time were less than a lifetime of brand new? Nazi Germany. Let's do that one. Sometimes I think it takes a generation of people to learn something about something. That's just sort of the way that things in this more grand scale tend to go. And I've always believed this, and I'll say it right now because I truly do believe it deep within my heart, that when I'm long and gone and generations come after me, there will be people that look back on this time and they see these diagnoses. They see ADHD, right? They see social anxiety, and they see generalized anxiety disorder, right? Or depression, or bipolar disorder. That's a big one. Or, any of them. There's so many of them. They will look at those and they will think, how crazy is it that people used to live their lives by these, right? That people used to live and die, that people used to put so much weight, that all these really heavy drugs were given to these people based on these diagnoses. I really believe that. I do. I think that it's silly. It's silly, and it's on the same chord as, me using a different bathroom than a black person, or me telling a woman that she can't vote, she can't drive, she can't own land. Me telling a Japanese person that I don't want him to live anywhere near me. And it's weird because this one seems like it's so much worse. Like, it's creeping up through the personal life where it's not even in a place where it seems it can be discussed, because it's dangerous. I think it's dangerous because these young kids, like, if I didn't think this way, I don't know how I'd think. And I know maybe what I should be doing here is really thinking about how I think, Maybe I should really say, like, I think I have all these disorders and I should seek help. Maybe I should. But I can't imagine. I knew kids that were on the medication for this stuff, and they didn't seem any different than me other than they were on the fucking medication. And listen, I smoked a lot of weed. And I know what it's like to introduce chemicals into your body in varied states, in varied dosages, over varied amounts of time. It's corruptive. It's toxic. And in some cases, life-threatening. I know that we have these minds, right? And I know the older you get, the more seasoned your mind becomes. And I think it's so easy to lose the truth that, once upon a time we didn't have this mind and we were really just here to fuck, So now with this mind, it's like we got to find this balance, and it's becoming ever more clear with this AI stuff. We don't take AI seriously. We don't. Especially older people. They don't take it seriously at all. They see it. They see artificial intelligence. They ask it questions, and they see how comprehensive of answers it gives. And they sort of laugh. They see the pictures generated. They see the media created. They see the news stories and the progress of the industry. And they're kind of just like, okay, I can put it in front of someone and it can vary its tone. It can use sarcasm. It has contextual awareness. And it's not alive. It's code on a computer. And yet it's still brushed off quite easily. Me, myself, I even find myself brushing it off quite easily. Like, oh, this is AI. I sweep this over to this corner of my mind. But when you really think about why that might be, it's because it doesn't have authentic emotion. AI will never lust for you. It never wants to have sex with you. It's never going to mourn the loss of a loved one. AI will never cry on a 50th birthday because it realizes how old it is. And it's going to die because it won't. And it's not alive. And I think because it lacks that, and it might be on me that I find it hard to put it into words. But if you're understanding what I'm saying, it's just sort of a window and a way to look at who we really are as sentient people and as conscious people, and what it really means to be that. Does it really mean whatever the fuck this is? Is that really what it means to be conscious? To sum up someone's life in 4 paragraphs? I mean, where do the words to write this even come from? Is it muscle memory? Is it textbooks? Is it research papers? I mean, does it matter? I just just can't imagine looking at a roommate, looking at a brother, looking at a father, looking at a friend, and saying, yeah, I think that you have depression. Or I think that you have anxiety disorder. Or, hey, I think that you need to do this. Or I think that you need to do that. Or you're lacking this. Or you are this. Or you are not that. I mean, how can you do that? It's almost like I can't even. I'm up in arms about it because, I mean, how old are you? What have you been through? Like, it couldn't have been nothing. Like, I know because I'm me. We're both people at the end of the day, and it's like life is crazy, and we're all just so like little and insignificant at the same time. Like, we feel so much, and how can you do anything, much less this? I mean, how does this happen? How can you, like, how can this be written? How, I'm in deep disbelief. I think about this, and I think of it as therapy, and I've also been thinking about this actor, this guy. He's in War Dogs as like the fat as antagonist. I think he's fat, he's ugly, and he's played a lot of those roles in Hollywood, fat, ugly. And I remember, last year, seeing that he had come out publicly and said how much better he's doing, and he accredited all of his success in self-discovery to his therapist. And that stuck with me. And this last week and a half, I really felt like I've been discovering myself. And I credit it to you people, whether you're listening or not. Because it just feels right. I just don't think that I could do any of this alone. And driving to work today, I was listening to the Joe Rogan Experience. He had Theo Vaughn on for the episode. And Joe, kind of out of nowhere, kind of on topic, kind of just told Theo, hey, I think you do really poorly when, you go away and you don't talk to anybody. When you're around people, everybody loves you. And you're funny. And we love being around you. And you're happy. And you're doing good. But it's when you aren't. It's when you're away, alone, that you do the worst. And you're the cruelest to yourself. Because I think Theo, and then I don't know if this is before or after, but Theo was talking about drug use. And he said, drugs, man, when people use them, they just really want to hurt themselves. Because at least when you hurt yourself, you're doing it to yourself. And you got some sort of control over it. You have some sort of jurisdiction over your life. Even though, you're doing pain and you're doing harm onto yourself, at least you're doing something, man. At least you are in the pilot seat and you're controlling where your life's going, even if it's not good, even if what you're doing to yourself is wrong. And you realize it's wrong after you do it, but you do it again because in the moment you don't understand. You just know that you feel like you're in control. And it's a cycle. And addiction, it's like that. It's like that. It grips you and it doesn't let go. Because it's not really real and it's not really gripping you. It's like you're gripping yourself. And if you let go, it feels like you let go control of yourself. It feels like a bigger loss, right? Than it would feel just to hurt yourself a little bit more, just one more time. Last night at 3 a.m. I got in the car and I went to McDonald's. And I got way too much food and 2 really big sugary drinks. And I drank it all and I ate it all and crashed out and went to bed. And I remember thinking like, I don't feel good about this. I'll talk about this in tomorrow's episode, how I don't feel good about this. But now when I'm talking about it in this episode, I do feel good about it. It felt good to do that, I think. Which is funny because why would I remember that I didn't feel good about it if it's true that I didn't feel good about it? So what makes me want to say to the camera I did feel good about it? Is it some deep urge within to do it again tonight? to go get more sugary drink and fat food? Probably. I feel really good about this. I'm not going to let the way that I picked this paper up in the start of this episode and read what I had written and not really felt the same oomph, that I did when I rewrote all these points. I just swapped the word no for avoid, But I do feel the same oomph. It's not just a little word switch. It's not just a little tone swap. It's me at a later date reminding myself that I still want to change. I still want to be better. And I still want to improve. Because there's, a version of me, there's me on a day where I don't. I don't want to improve. I don't want to get better. I don't want to succeed. I just want to make it to tomorrow. And I guess, that could be considered succeeding, but it's not. I don't want to survive. I want to thrive. I want to bring people together. That's why I feel myself saying these words, because I hope that maybe someone listens and they really like what they hear and they tell a friend, hey, tune in. And then because of me, him and his friend, they got something to talk about now. They got a reason to be around one another now. They share something. I want to be shared. I want to be used. I want to be useful. And the path to that sort of thing is very long, I believe, and very windy. But I think that very first video that I made where I just filmed a bunch of planes rolling around was me screaming to the world, hey, I'm going to start. I'm going to take the first step down this path. Because I know that I want to be useful. And if I don't just start walking towards it, I'm really going to regret that one day. YouTube, I love you. I love you more than you'll ever understand. Even though I don't want to watch you anymore, even though I want to avoid you, you've given me a place to put myself, a community to feel part of. And I don't think that could ever be repaid. I know there's ads, and I know it's not really free, but it's beautiful. What you've done is beautiful. With that, the episode's over. Quick little couple announcements. Always looking for guests. If you want to come on here, trust me, I want you. I really do. Trust me. If you think you might enjoy this, I'd enjoy it 10 times more. Even if you think you wouldn't enjoy it, but you think I might enjoy having you on, you'd be dead right. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you have to say. I don't care how far away you are. I don't care about anything. If you got ears and you're hearing me say these words, I want you as a guest on this show. Badly. It's boring. It's boring solo. Solo is so boring, If you come on, yeah, that's about it. That's the only announcement. I'll see you tomorrow. I love you. And, you know, it's going to be all right. You know, that thing you're worrying about, keep worrying. Don't worry. You know, just sleep on it. Just get some good sleep tonight, okay? I'm going to stretch my back out, talk to my camera, post these things, make some art here, there, eat some good food, and crash out. And you know me, and you know where I'll be tomorrow. This has been Keeping It Real, episode 56. Thanks so much for listening. I love you. I know I said it too many times. Good night.